I'm sure she will carry out the chairman's role very properly. And in that sense, you're very much led by the other members of the committee and what they want to discuss in the areas that are of interest to them, rather than it being something where the chairman just ploughs ahead with whatever his or her views are.
Yes, I imagine Mark Carney will be quite relieved that you didn't get the chairmanship.
You must ask him.
Now, obviously, we've got the Great Repeal Bill going through today. It's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, it's going to be hand-to-hand combat all the way through in getting this bill through, isn't it?
I think it will be similar to what happened over Maastricht, that the Labour Party accepts the bill in principle that we are leaving the European Union, but will use its role as the opposition party to oppose. That's what opposition parties do, and to make the passage of the bill contentious. There is, however, one very important thing to bear in mind, and that is that since Article 50 was passed into law, and since the notification was given, we are leaving the European Union by the end of March 2019. If this bill is not passed, then the European law that is in UK law has no basis. It doesn't rest on anything, and therefore we would have a vacuum in our law and potentially a very chaotic situation.
But what about some of these issues on which there are clearly members of your own party uneasy, Euratom, for example? Are you going to have to accept that the ECJ still will have some influence over British policy?
It depends what you mean by some influence. Under the 1972 European Communities Act, and as a member of the European Union, ECJ judgments are the highest law in the land. They overturn UK law. That cannot continue after Brexit, that our laws must be made in Parliament. Can the ECJ act as a tribunal in the way that the WTO has a tribunal and the European Court of Human Rights acts as a tribunal, which may then be accepted into British law but can be refused? That's an entirely separate question.
What have you made of the offers being made by Emmanuel Macron to French nationals and indeed to London-based banks to relocate to Paris? I mean, they are rolling out the red carpet. They're offering to cut taxes, cut regulations.
This is excellent, that I believe in competition, and that if the French start competing for business, then the British must compete back, and we must look at whether we've got the right tax incentive for business, the right levels of regulation for business, and ensure that we can compete and keep business here. I'm in favour of competition, which tends to improve the environment for everybody.
Now, you made the comment, interestingly, just now that banks need to have their own contingency plans in place. What appears to have unsettled them this week, though, is Boris Johnson's admission that there are no contingency plans on the part of government for a so-called hard Brexit.
Well, the terminology is deliberately confusing. Soft Brexit means remaining within the European Union, means rejecting what voters said on the 23rd of June 2016. And it's just a code word that they use because they don't want to admit that they're trying to punish the electorate. So we need to bear that in mind. If we leave without a deal, the great news is we don't have to give the European Union any money at all, as it's clearly been established in EU, UK and international law by an excellent report by our House of Lords committee. So that's the first thing. We keep all our money if we leave without a deal. And we then trade on WTO terms, which is how we do about 60% of our global trade currently. So it's a really strong position. It's maintaining other international agreements. It's not that there is a complete vacuum. It's that we just fall back on older arrangements that we use with other countries.
Was it very helpful of Boris Johnson to say that the EU could go whistle?
It was brilliant. I hope that they are whistling busily and making a jolly and joyful tune, because we need more optimism in this debate. Leaving the EU is a fantastic opportunity for the United Kingdom and potentially for the EU as well. So whistling a jolly tune, whistle while you work, that would be my advice to all the negotiators.